Uh, Welcome. My name is Craig Monroe. I'm the founder of Elegant Literature. I'm here with Caroline Lee, who is the winner of the Killer Instinct story. What's your story called, Caroline?
It's called Our Story Starts Here.
Our story starts here. And what a fantastic story. Do you want to tell anybody watching this a little about what your story is?
Yeah, so my story is just about this girl who is basically a stalker, and she's in this relationship with a guy who is basically her childhood crush, who she grows up admiring and like wanting to be with, and her love kind of develops into this unhealthy obsession that results in her murdering him. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for a story for Killer Instincts, you definitely have the murder in there. I thought your story was really fascinating, being from the stalker's perspective, but then they actually got into a relationship for a few years, right? And I think that's something that you don't really see very often in stories about stalkers. It's usually their person's in a relationship and they're trying to get them out of it or something like that. But they lived happily for a few years, which I thought was fascinating.
Yeah. I also think I was inspired by really like psychological thriller kind of shows similar, but like I wanted to try something kind of different.
Yeah, well, and it really comes through for sure. So that's what I wanted to ask you, because I remember we spoke before briefly, and you said this isn't what you normally write. Is that what do you normally
Yeah.
write?
I'm normally like almost exclusively sci-fi or fantasy, but like I'm really terrible at like all the sci-fi jargon because I'm not like a science or STEM person. So like I've kind of moved more to fantasy and contemporary because it's just more my comfort area. And also I just grew up reading mostly fantasy novels. And yeah,
Yeah,
I love that genre most.
awesome. So what inspired you to go for a story like this versus a fantasy story? Because this is very contemporary. They went to high school. There's no magic or science in it at all, and it's like you said, it's a thriller. But how did you land on that?
I think I was like considering, I was just like thinking about like what would like be really scary, especially in like a modern context, because like fantasy is scary, but I feel like sometimes it can be too like distant, like it's from another world, so you feel distanced from the actual horror or fear. So like I wanted to try something that could actually happen to someone and that like could be your anyone around you, like your family or your friends or your lover. So I thought that would be more like a visceral experience.
So you obviously made the right choice going for this kind of style of story because you won the Elegant Literature Award for New Writers. Comes with a $3,000 prize. So congratulations, by the way, once again.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, you caught my attention. You caught Nikki's attention for sure. I mentioned to you last time we spoke, but I'll say it again because I remember reading this story and it stuck with me. Where I was at a party later, and I people were asking me, "Oh, how are the stories coming? Is there one that's kind of like you've been thinking about?" And I told them about your story, and everybody that was in the conversation was like, "Oh God, that's terrifying! Like that's so creepy." She killed them so that they could spend their life together, or well, their death together. Just pretty unsettling, and it was very well written as well. What's your background in writing? Have you been writing since you could walk, or is it something new?
Um, yeah, I've been writing since basically I could read, and it was like very much like a childhood passion of mine where I was like, the moment I like wrote my first story, which is like about a girl named Gilda and her house, like I just realized I wanted to be an author. And then I guess like usually you would like give up that kind of dream like once you get older, but it just
Yeah.
never happened for me.
Well, that's good. And so do you write a lot? What is your like writing habit? You writing every day, or just because you're
Um,
in school, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
so like when I was younger, I definitely wrote a lot more because like I was less busy and also like just more like childhood imagination and inspiration. But recently, especially after like COVID and stuff, it's been hard to like find things I want to write about or like find the like tell myself that this is like actually going to be a career I can pursue in the future and be like financially stable.
Mhm.
So, but like recently I've been trying to get into a regular writing schedule. So yeah.
Yeah, great. How do you feel now after having sort of won the contest? And you know, you've got a professional author that selected your work. You've got a ton of people that have read it now and know your name. How do you feel about making a career out of writing after this experience?
Um, it's definitely like really terrifying and like surreal. It's like I did not believe it at first. Because when I first saw my name and just like the list, I was like kind of I like had to step away from my computer because I could not believe that this was happening. And then when I actually saw it won, I think like I was shaking. But it's just like really validating, I think, because I've had a lot of struggles with like, am I actually good enough to pursue this in the future? So like just seeing that people actually like what I've done, which like it's just like so amazing that like people actually want to read my stories and that they have like an actual impact like you described on them. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad to hear that it made you feel that way. And I think it sounds like you're going to continue pursuing writing uh, going forward, right? It's not, you're not going to give up now after this.
Yeah.
So have you said you were trying to pick back up and get into a regular writing habit recently. Have you been submitting stories for publication in different places? Or you what have you been doing to try and get published, or is this sort of one of your very first times?
I think last year I entered in like the really big sci-fi content, the Ron Hubbard one.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't get anything, but that's okay because that story was really bad, but that's okay. But recently I've been like researching contests and like magazines to submit to, and I've been like trying to draft some things, and I think it's going really well. I like what I'm working on right now.
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, that's the most important thing for writers, that you enjoy what you're working on, because the readers can really tell when a writer has, like, when they're writing and they're passionate about it and they're really excited, that comes through in the words, and that translates to the readers and makes them feel energized as well. So how did you feel about writing Our Story Starts Here? Um, Versus, because you normally write fantasy and a bit of science fiction, and this was new territory. Did you feel really interested in it as well, and really excited by it?
I think in the beginning, I was like writing by hand and I wrote it all in like one go, and I was like really into it at the time. Like once I put it on like a document, I like had to revise everything to make it actually like coherent and make there actually be a plot. Because like I'm a pantser and I have no plan whatsoever, so it took like a lot of trial and error. And like reread it every 30 minutes, and it was like I just ended up hating it. But I'm I'm glad I submitted it because I think it's like definitely something that was something new for me that I'm glad I took a chance on it because it was honestly really fun, like even though it was torture.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm glad you took a chance on it too, because that's got us to this point where we're sitting here talking about it. I loved it. And like, so do you think that you will continue kind of branching out and trying new things, like outside your genre, and to see how that helps you improve and just kind of broaden your writing abilities? Or was this experience enough and you're going to go back to fantasy and just settle down with that?
I think this has definitely made me enjoy like contemporary literature more, and I've been like reading more contemporary literature as well. Um, and fantasy, still do write some fantasy, but I think it's easy to like get too caught up in research and like world and like figuring out all the logistics. So like I'm thinking of like going more towards something contemporary just to like work on like making story because I think that is like my favorite part of writing.
Hmm. Yeah,
Mm.
and you're definitely an excellent writer as well. The Our Story Starts Here was very well written. I found a lot of very interesting things in it. Like, you started with a very strong classic start. Like, if you're reading this, I'm dead, right? And that's a very, like, that's a trope that we've seen 100 times everywhere, yet we can't help but be curious and be pulled in, because we want to know what the information is. Why would somebody, like, not everybody makes a video, and then you immediately twist it, and give a warning, and that, like, if you're reading this, I'm dead, but don't read this because it's going to scar you forever. You should really just put this away, and ignore it. And I thought that was really a neat little device there to make us even more interested and change the trope. Now, were you thinking about anything like that while you were writing this, or were you just pouring out the story in your head?
I actually added that part like at the last minute or like um after the fact because originally it was just supposed to be like a letter and then like
Mm.
but then I wanted to add some dimension or like why are we reading this letter from some random person to some random person and also make the reader actually feel more invested because they're like actually experiencing this story and it is like something it's a message that is directly directed at us, the reader. So I thought that would be more immersive. Cool.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that, like, we're warned not to read it makes us want to read it more, which um we were talking about the intro, and how I thought it
Oh
was a
yeah.
really good a really good literary device. I don't know if literary device is the right word, but it was a really good device to get our attention up front, because you're basically saying, I'm dead, and you're reading this letter, so that makes us curious, and then you give us that warning that says, don't read this letter, and that's naturally going to make us want to read the letter. So it was a really good way of grabbing the reader's attention and making us want to find out more about the story. And then you used really good language that was very descriptive, and kind of showed off who she was, I think. But it was also unsettling a lot of the time. Um,
Mm.
so you talk at one point, she said, like, I have all this she has this manic creativity, and her partner is literally just lying on the floor dying beside her. And that's like a terrifying image. Like, not only did she kill him, but she's sitting here like writing this letter, like loving it,
Yeah.
while he's sitting there gurgling on his own vomit, which is just terrifying, as an image. And there was one description where you said, something like, it was a triple description where you said that it's really romantic how when someone takes your jacket to get your scent. It's like, okay, that's kind of cute. And then, like, steals your gum from under the tables to, like, feel the indentations of your teeth, is like a really gross thing to say and think about, which, like, but also very descriptive and very, like, oh my God, you're a serious stalker.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really, really good, but it also made me cringe with kind of disgust, which got a reaction out of me. And then also and then the next one was dispose of the gumball-eyed girls, something like that. And I liked how you used the theme of gum in their eyes and under the desk. It's just all around deeply gross and very effective, I thought.
Yeah.
And so how much of this stuff do you think survived from your original draft, when you just had your manic creativity and poured it all out, hopefully without the same muse lying beside you? And how much do you think is the original draft, and how much did you change in the editing phase?
I remember I changed a lot. I still have the original draft. There's like cross marks. It's like everything's crossed out and it's like really messy. But yeah, I just wrote it in
Can you
my
hold it up to the
journal.
screen so we can see?
I don't know if you guys want to see it. It's like really messy. Let me see. But
It's a,
yeah, I
it's a
like
look into your brain and your editing process.
exactly. But like it was like super like just bleh, like all my brain just like vomited on the page. And that's usually how I write. But like yeah, I like cut out a lot and I had to I originally had like a Romeo and Juliet quote at the end because it was supposed to be like R and J, the letter is addressed to the initial of J, and then it's like
Ah,
signed R. And it was supposed to be like super like
yeah, read
little
it
reference.
because the R is reader, but
Yeah,
you're getting the Romeo and Juliet in there. That's cool. I like that.
yeah, but I thought it was too tacky, so I just got rid of it. But this is my like draft. It's
Oh
super.
yeah.
I don't know if you can see. There's a lot of cross marks and like tiny like scrawled things in the margin.
That looks like a
So I
writer's
changed
notebook to me.
exactly, yeah. So I changed a lot and I had to move things around and I spent like a long time obsessing over like where the comma goes because
Hmm.
I'm like very obsessive over things like that.
Well, I mean, you created a great piece that won the prize, so I don't think you can you'd be blamed for being obsessive in that case. Did you do a lot of your editing by hand as well? Because you said you wrote it by hand, and then obviously you've been made corrections by hand as well. How much did you do by hand? Did you just transcribe the totally finished piece and send it in, or did you do more online or what?
I usually like write exclusively online because like my handwriting sucks. But this time I did like first draft on paper and then like I kind of edited as I went along and I read it over a few times and I just like completely crossed out sections I didn't like or like added parts in and then I copied it and then I did most of like the revising and editing on my computer because it's
Mhm.
easier that way.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. It's good workflow.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just want to keep talking about the story and the language that you use, like because you use some great metaphors and some really vivid descriptions in there. And the language was like beautiful and romantic for like in the first half when she was talking about how like when he's around, she's like it's summer and she gets like the world has color in it and she can laugh and feel good, right? It's beautiful romantic language, but then it even while we're reading this, it's twisted into something terrifying because we know that she's writing this account while there's a guy dying beside her.
Yeah,
I thought it was just so great, and I wanted to tell you that.
thank you.
What was your favorite part of the story? Like, do you have a favorite passage or metaphor that you use? Like something that you're really proud of, or something that like you're just like, yeah, that I knew that was gonna make people feel terrified.
I think the part I spent the most time on and that I ended up feeling like kind of ambivalent, but also like kind of proud of was the like winter summer metaphor and also like near the end I don't know that's just the like the story title. I was like at first it was something completely different and then it just
Oh.
like clicked and then like I was just like okay this is what it's gonna be and then I like changed everything to make it fit because yeah I like yeah, I like the like summer and winter metaphor because I think it really symbolizes how like someone so emotionless gets melted by this person and they like twist it into something that's super like obsessive and dangerous and
Hmm.
evil.
And I mean, to me, it does explain the addiction. Like if I felt cold and down all the time, and then there was this one person that changed that, I would, want to be like, you'd crave that after you experienced it. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, absolutely. Did you do a lot of research into the mind of like a stalker, why they do things they do? How did you, because it seems like something that could happen and somebody could feel that way. And I'm wondering if are you a stalker? Is that how you have the experience?
Yeah, this is actually nonfiction. This was all from my experience.
It's
Sorry,
your
guys.
confession that you're sending into the police later.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, don't tell anyone. But I actually didn't do any research because I guess like maybe horror movies count as research, but there's like in general like horror movies and like horror, the stalker is usually like a dude and the girl is the one being stalked because whatever. But I wanted I think when I was younger, like I grew up with a lot of anime, like Japanese like cartoons, and there's like a trope where like the girl is the stalker and she's like super obsessive and loving of the guy. And I think that was kind of what was my like initial inspiration. And I thought, what was the question again? Well, research. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I think no research. I just tried to like really get into like the persona.
Yeah, I think you did as well. And so where did you come up with this idea? Because what was obviously very impactful was that she slept with her boss, and then well, I mean, also I have written down here that she killed his dog, which made me angry. That was only a passing thing. What did I say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I found it really fascinating how that she cheated on him, and in doing so realized that he could cheat too. Like it hadn't even occurred to her before that he might be unfaithful. And then as soon as she was unfaithful, she realized he could be too, and then couldn't stop obsessing over that, and that led her to like killing him, so they could spend forever together in death. How did you come up with that scenario?
Um, the like part where she cheated on him with her boss was like really like spur of the moment. I don't know why I chose her boss, but it was just like such a trope, I think, that like my mind defaulted to it. So like I knew I wanted her to be the one who cheated because like from what I've heard, like cheaters are always the one who are very suspicious of their partners and like they get like really jealous and obsessive. And also because like you don't expect the one her to be the one who cheated. And
Yeah, while
like
you're reading it, for sure, it's like
exactly. It's like such a like why would you do that? That's so stupid. And then like after it happens, because she doesn't really have an explanation. She doesn't know why. But like after it
and
happens,
you didn't even explain it to, like, you didn't give any context to the reader, like who the boss is. Like, we didn't know anything about their prior relationship, if they had anything. Like, we don't know any context about them, and all of a sudden she's set with the boss, and you're like, holy shit, like that's not what I would have expected her to do. It was, yeah, it's like we weren't expecting her to be the one that cheated, and you didn't give us any context for why she did it. Like, she, they had a fight over the kids, right? And then she cheated with her boss, but we have no context about the boss or anything like that, why she chose him. And obviously, I mean, you don't have enough space in a short story, and that wouldn't it's not the focal point. So I like how you kept the focus, but it's also like hinting at a bigger story. Like, it's hinting at more of this kind of this world and this narrative that we don't know as a reader, and I assume we'll never get to know unless you're working on a book. Are you working on a novel?
I'm working on more like smaller projects, but like I'm trying to build up to like a novel or maybe like expand one of my earlier stories
Mhm.
into a novel.
Have you ever
Mhm.
tried writing a novel before?
I think I've tried, but I've never like been able to finish because endings are like really my weak point. I always like start things and never finish. Hmm.
I understand completely. It is
Hmm.
a big challenge sometimes. Yeah. um yeah, great. Was there, I think there's one more thing that oh yeah, that was the other thing I wanted to say about your story, is pretty much the last bit there before I want to hear a bit more about you. Um the fact that you had all this beautiful romantic language, and she's like describing, and it's kind of like, okay, yeah, she's a bit of a stalker, and like some of those things are real creepy and like over the top, but it is like nice that they kind of have this thing going on, and then you find out that she doesn't even know who she is. Like, she's having all those emotions and like all that beautiful love language for years, and he's totally one-sided. He doesn't even know she exists.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, dang, I just thought that was creepy as hell. Like, what a creep show.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, so I want to tell me a little bit more about when you found out you won the contest. Like, when you were going in, when you opened the magazine, were you hoping to find, like, did you think that this story had a chance of getting published, period? Were you kind of like, oh, maybe I've won, if you felt the strength of it? Like, how did you feel going into the results?
Um, I was honestly not optimistic because like at the time I was submitting, I just hated it so much because I read it over so many times. But like when I was still like hopeful because like for some reason, but I opened it and I've been like waiting for a long time and I was super excited. And I saw my name first of all, and that was like so like I can't describe it. Like just seeing my name on something was like really, really impactful. Like I couldn't believe that I was actually published. So that was really cool. And then I read all the stories. Um, it was hard to focus on them, but they're all really good. Like I was every time they didn't like win, I was like getting less and less optimistic because
So you
they're
didn't jump right to your name and check to see if you won. You just actually went through one at a time and read.
yeah, because like I thought I wanted to like read all of them because like I like the prompt anyway. So and they were all like super good. I love them all. I like the one about frogs because I like frogs. Um but what was I saying? Yes. I read through all of them, but I couldn't really focus because like I was shaking and like really nervous. But I think when I got to mine, and then it said contest winner on it, and I was just like, please wake me up. This is not funny. Like, and then I read it again, and it was like a lot better than I remember it being. Because I just did not go back and read it after I submitted it because I thought I had no chance.
And you hated
But
it, so
then
why would you read
yeah,
it
I
again?
hated it so much. It was like I wanted to burn it. And then like actually edited it. I edited it after I submitted it because there was so many things I wanted to change. But anyway, so I read it through again, and it was like a lot better than I remembered. And I was like, wow, this is like wow. And then like there were still some things I didn't like I cringed over. But I was just like super like I like had to take a break and like I couldn't read all the rest of the stories. I went back after, but yeah, that was pretty cool. And then yeah, and then I after like every time after I read that though, like every subsequent time it just kept getting worse and worse, so I just stopped reading it. But then like I told some of my friends, and they're like, oh. And then yeah, and I think you emailed me, and I was like, "That's a real writer." There's not a lot of writers where I am. It's mostly like a very STEM focused community, so I don't have a lot of people to talk to about writing. So this was really cool, just an opportunity.
Yeah, and I'm glad you did. How did you feel reading the judges' comments about your story? Like, did you know, because I know that maybe it did. Like, you see contest winner, and you're like, maybe it's a mistake, and then you had to go to the judges' comments, and it's like, no, that's talking about your story for sure.
Yeah, like when I first read it, I was like, wow, she's so nice. Like she's a goddess. Who is this lady? No, I knew who she was. I knew who she was. But yeah, Nikki was like so nice in her comments. And I was like I took a picture of it because I was just so happy that there was someone like an actual published author who like took the time out to talk about my work and read it even. So, oh my God, I'm shaking. Okay. So that was super surreal. I loved it. And I still read it sometimes because she was just really nice and it made me feel like really like I could do this in the future, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. That I mean, that's fantastic. That makes and you definitely can do this in the future, based on the strength of this story. If the rest of the things you write are like this and you only keep getting better, you 100% have a future as an author. And if you ever doubt that, you can just go back and read Nikki's comments about your story. Maybe not your story because I think you've hate it too
Yeah,
much.
no, I'm never reading that again.
When you because you said when you read it, when you saw a contest winner and you went, oh wow, and then you read through your story again and you said, oh wow, this is actually way better than I remember. Did you feel like, because you had just read half of the other stories roughly, did you feel like yours fit in? Do you feel like it deserved its place in there, and maybe even as the one that was selected as a award? How did you feel about that?
Honestly, after reading all of the previous entries, which are like written by like people with a lot more experience than me and like who are a lot older and have more life experience, thought it sounded a little bit juvenile, like sleeping with her boss. That's like something you get out of like a sitcom or something. I don't know. But so I felt like really bad. I thought like maybe people would think I didn't deserve it because like I hadn't spent as much time writing as them, or the story was like contrived. So I worried about that. But I was just glad that like I was given this opportunity because this is like really means a lot to me that I even have any like anyone to talk to or anyone to like start like a starting point for like my future. So that overshadowed any of my like worries or insecurities. So yeah.
Yeah, that, I mean, that's good. And I mean, I don't think that you should. I asked if you had, if it felt fit, you like it fit in, but you also have no idea how much time those authors spent on it, or really how much experience they have. Even if they're older, they may have only just, I know a lot of older writers that are 30, 40, 50 even, who only just started writing in the last year because of the pandemic, and they had more time on their hands and things like that. And yeah, I thought your story came across as fairly mature. Like, people do sleep with their boss, but it's more about the emotions and the stuff, and like this, and the capturing how the stalker actually did, and kind of this terrifying aspect, and the quality of your writing. I honestly thought it was great. And yeah, and now you can call yourself not only a published author, which is pretty sweet on its own, but you can also call yourself an award-winning author.
Yeah.
So don't ever doubt yourself again, because you're on the track for sure. And
Mhm.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Um, yeah. So what do you see yourself doing next? Like, what is there a project that you are really focusing on right now, or where do you want to take it after having won the award?
I plan on trying to submit to a few more contests for like literary magazines. And like hopefully like like I want to in the future at some point publish a novel. Um, like I don't know if I would have time in high school, even though that would be like super cool and probably make my college application look like amazing. But that's besides the point because um honestly the first reason why I submitted to Elegant was because I was like worried I had no skills to show anyone. So I was like, I should probably enter some contests. But in the end, like I ended up getting a lot more than what I like originally thought because now I've gained like experience and like people to talk to. And that is really cool.
Yeah.
And I forgot the original question, but yeah.
And yeah, and it sounds like you've gained a lot of confidence from this experience, which is good. Yeah, my question was, have you taken that sort of the confidence and the energy from winning the contest and channeled it into more work? Are you is there a project you're working on right now that you're really excited about, and maybe you could even share with us?
Nothing like going to be published, I don't think, but some contest entries. I'm working about on this story about this girl whose like friend and lover person dies, and she's basically thinking like it's like a characterization like kind of story, and it's just talking about grief and like the loss of loved ones and kind of coming to terms with that because I found out that I really from this our story starts here. I found that I really like in deep conversation about character and personality and like trying to figure out how exactly people work and like what they would do in a situation. And also I really like describing nature. It's like really like I love that part about writing. So I like shove some of that in there. And yeah, I'm excited about that. So
10 years from now, you're going to be known as the author who's just really good at using nature metaphors.
yeah, the stalker author who loves writing about nature.
um Oh, I forgot. I wanted to ask you. You said it's Our Story Starts Here wasn't the original title, and it got hit inspiration hit. You changed it to that, and you molded the story. What was the original title?
I it was there were many, but I think the one I was about to submit it with, it changed at the last minute, was like fatalistic love, and then like fatal dash istic, because I thought it would make me sound smart. And like also the pun. Yeah, but I didn't really like it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that Our Story Starts Here is the perfect title for it. I think you absolutely nailed it with that. Um,
Mhm.
because especially when I saw that, I was like, what does this mean? I was
Yeah,
expecting the start of a story, and not a murder. So yeah, I thought it was really effective. Where do you see yourself in terms of writing in next year or 5 years from now?
next year probably writing college apps and like also submitting more stories. It would be awesome if I had the work ethic to like pump out a novel in a year, but if not, then sometime yeah, within 5 years, definitely I hope to have something publishable. But like sending like query letters and stuff is like terrifying, and I'm not sure if I want to. But yeah, I hope to learn more about like especially the publishing and editing part, and also just how to improve my like general skills and find things I want to write about and that people would be interested in.
Yeah, definitely. That's great. What are you planning on? Because you're in high school. That's what you said, right? What grade are you in?
I am a junior. I'm in the 11th grade.
11th grade.
Mhm.
Fantastic. And so oh, man, you've won an award, and you're not even in your last year of high school. I think that you're going to be just fine with your writing journey and your career if that's what you choose to pursue. Do you know what you want to go to college for yet? Because you mentioned going to a college application. Do you know what you want, or still deciding?
It's always been some sort of something to do with language or English or like maybe creative writing. I think I was considering, I think my parents might have a heart attack if I majored in creative writing. So I was also considering things like philosophy or like foreign relations because that's like something I'm interested in. But yeah, something to do with English, hopefully.
Yeah, great. And I mean from what I know of you, that fits the story. Screams go right more. And so, yeah, that's great. Um, what else was I gonna? What else was I was gonna ask you? Yeah. So in terms of, has writing always been sort of your main passion, or are there other hobbies that you would explore, or something? Do you also want to be a fireman, or like an engineer? Because you're talking about your community's a lot of STEM. So do you have multiple interests, or is writing something that is like one of your main priorities? So we're coming to the end of my questions actually here. Although I did want to know, how do you come up with your ideas? Like, do you have a process for coming up with ideas, or is it totally random? What is your idea process?
Usually it's like inspiration from my daily life. Like if my history teacher says something interesting, I'll like write it down on my hand. Or if I'm on a walk, I'll put it in my notes app. Or if it just like pops into my head, I'll write it down somewhere. But sometimes, yeah, there's just like too many ideas, so I can't like write them all down. But yeah, that's usually how I get ideas.
Yeah, it's just kind of from everywhere, and you keep notes. That's great. And so, do you always write by hand?
No, no, I almost never because I can't read my handwriting sometimes, and I type a lot faster.
Maybe you should start writing by hand all the time, since you did it once and won a contest.
Yeah, I think it helps with flow. Like when I'm typing, it's like it's so much easier to go back and revise and like obsess. But like you can't really do that with handwriting. So I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, definitely. And do you write? you have like a specific writing nook or a place? Like, do you write right here at your desk, or do you go to a coffee shop, or what do you do?
I usually write like right here, or sometimes I write like on my bed back there, because
Mhm.
I have like a lamp, and then it's like I read there, and then it's like right over my shoulder, or like I write. But usually I write at like ungodly hours, like 1 a.m. or like 5 a.m. It's because that's the only time I can write for some reason. Because I'm not a
Like
morning
that's the only
person.
time, like that's the only time you can find to write, or that's the only time you like get the creativity juices going and feel inspired to write.
Both, I think, because like um I'm a teenager, so I sleep like no sleep. But also yeah, I like nighttime w way better than day, because I think there's so much potential. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And how do your parents feel about your writing? Like, have they always been supportive? Do they feel like it should just be a hobby and you should be an engineer? Or how do your parents feel about your writing?
I think they definitely think it's like probably better if I do something be an engineer or like a lawyer or something, which is like fine because I understand they want me to be not not dead in the future, so that
Not
makes
broke.
sense. Yeah, not broke. But they were supportive when I won because they're like, good job. And I think if I can like make more money than my brothers, they'll be like, okay, you can be an author, so you're fine. So yeah, that's what I'm aiming for.
Yeah, definitely. How did they feel when you told them that you won the contest?
They're like, you're rich. So yeah, that's literally what they said, like in English, because they speak mostly Chinese. And so like I was like, yeah, okay. So they're happy. They were happy.
Yeah. Did they know that you were entering the contest?
No,
So it's
at all.
a total surprise to them. You said, "Hey, I just won a big award with a short story that you didn't even know anything about."
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Wow, that's pretty exciting. That must have been pretty intense for them.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, maybe hopefully that'll help them support your writing a little bit more, since it's obviously you're good enough to get the attention of and some authors. Me, get you won an award, you got some prize money. That's got to be a vouch in your favor.
Yeah, exactly. Hold it over them.
Yeah. So that's just about it. Do you have any questions for me about, writing about elegant literature, anything like that before? And you can always ask me later, but anything you want to ask now?
I was going to ask about like the novel writing accelerator, because I know you
Mhm.
said it's like to be announced the date, but like is it like a course, or is it like a self-paced, or is it like
Yeah,
actually
right.
in
So, yeah, because I guess I was going to tell you about this later, but I'll tell you right now because it's part of your prize, because you won the $3,000. But along with that award comes a free placement in my new novelist accelerator, and it's a program. Currently, it's a week long. It's a live program, so I teach it live. It's all online, obviously, but it's usually about 2 to 3 hours a day, from Monday to Friday. That may not work for you as a student in high school, um, but it's very flexible. I may change the dates. I don't have a date set for it for the next one. It was supposed to be the end of November, but it may be a little bit later because that's coming up pretty soon, and I have a lot of other things to do. But you basically have lifetime access to it. The thing it teaches what the new novelist accelerator is it basically is giving you some techniques that I know to work for a lot of people to help prepare and kind of set yourself up and write a novel in a much faster time frame than most people do. So, because I know earlier you mentioned, if you could have a novel written and published in 5 years, that would be great. And the whole concept of the new novelist accelerator is to have you doing it in way less time, It still obviously depends on you and your life, because some people are full-time writers and some people are in high school and have, go to after school clubs or something, or sleep all day. Whatever it is you do, in the time that you have to write, it's designed to help you get out more and write out and have a better story on the first time around. Now, it is geared more to people who plan, because that I found is a technique that works to get you like consistently writing better stories. But how much you kind of plan is up to you. And I've had some people that are pantsers that come into the course and go, wow, I've never used an outline before, and holy crap, this is really good, and I'm writing so fast, I'm going to keep doing this. So you can keep an open mind, or you can just take what you like from the course and apply it to your own writing. It's not like I'm telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what I have figured out that works, that other people have done really well. So you have free access to that. I usually run it every month or two, and you can join every time that you want. So if you like take it once and then in 6 months you're like, I could use a refresher, you can take it again. So, and you're going to get to be part of our community as well, which is great, because community offers really helps. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, sounds
Yeah,
cool.
definitely. Yeah, so I mean, like if there's one in the beginning, at the end of November or the beginning of December or something, if you can't make it because of school, we can sort something. You can just join the next one, basically, when you do have time. Also, it's all recorded. And so if you could come for 2 or 3 of the lessons and can't make the other 2 or 3, you can just watch them as a recording, and because they're at different times. So it usually works for you a little bit. We'll find out. I'll keep you in the loop about what we're doing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So congratulations again on winning the award and receiving the prize money. It's fantastic. All right. So
Yay.
just before we finish up here, I just want to, if you do you have any advice or words of wisdom? I know that you still feel like you're a young author, maybe not as experienced as other people, but you have won an award. Now you are a published author. So do you have any advice to give to other new, potentially young writers who are watching this interview and, are looking up to you now?
I think definitely the number one thing, like no matter what anyone tells you, is just write. Because even if you like tell yourself that you're like a writer, or you think of yourself as a writer, you're not actually like writing unless you're writing. And I think I had to learn that the hard way, because like I'd spend all this time not writing, and then just like thinking about writing and being scared of writing badly. So definitely just like don't care if it's good or bad, because like everyone's bad until they're good. So just write. And yeah, that's all I have to say.
That's fantastic advice. That's really good. And it sounds like you are following that yourself. So I really hope that you keep writing. I'm really interested to see where your career goes over the next few months, few years. I'll be following it eagerly. And as a winner of the Elegant Literature Award, I'd love to help you in any way I can. So let me know if you write anything, if anything gets published, or any basically writing milestones that you reach. I want to hear about them, and I want to tell the Elegant Literature community about them and help support you in your journey. All right.
Okay, that sounds cool.
Yeah. So congratulations a final time. Our story starts here. Caroline Lee, winner of the Elegant Literature Award for New Writers and the $3,000 prize. Congratulations. And thank you. And thank you for joining me today and having this conversation. It was really great. I really loved meeting you and hearing all about your work.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, great. All right. Well, you have a great day.
Okay, me too.
All right.
Bye.
Don't leave.